Red Notice ending explained. What's next for Dwayne Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot's characters? Let's talk about Red Notice's ending. Spoilers ahead. Red Notice is a 2021 American action comedy film written and directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber. It stars Dwayne Johnson as an FBI agent who reluctantly teams up with a renowned art thief, Ryan Reynolds, in order to catch an even more notorious criminal, Gal Gadot. The film marks the third collaboration between Thurber and Johnson following Central Intelligence, 2016, and Skyscraper, 2018. Originally planned for release by Universal Pictures, the film was acquired by Netflix for distribution. It began a limited theatrical release on November 5, 2021 before digitally streaming on the platform on November 12, 2021. Although the film received generally negative reviews from critics, it became the most watched film in its debut weekend on Netflix. 2 sequels, to be shot back-to-back, are currently in development. Warning: massive spoilers for Netflix's Red Notice are in play. If you haven't seen the movie just yet, you may want to turn around and head to non-spoiler coverage of the movie. An adventure as massive as writer/director Rawson Marshall Thurber's Red Notice needs to have a finale that's equally prolific. That should go without saying, as any movie that's able to put Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson, and Gal Gadot in the same story has to go big or go home. As such, the Red Notice ending is something that delivers on that promise and sets up some potential fun for the future. This is your last call for spoilers, as we're about to reveal the clues that piece it all together. Now I am explaining the main plot. 2,000 years ago, Marcus Antonius gifted Cleopatra 3 bejeweled eggs as a wedding gift symbolizing his devotion. The eggs were lost to time until 2 are found by a farmer in 1907, but the last one remains lost. In 2021, Special Agent John Hartley, a criminal profiler for the FBI, is assigned to assist Interpol agent Urvashi Das in investigating the potential theft of one of the eggs kept on display at the Museo Nazionale di Castel Sant'Angelo in Rome, after being informed there may be a plan in place to steal it and that it may have already been stolen. The head of security dismisses the concerns after they arrive, and the egg appears to still be there. But Hartley determines the egg on display is a forgery and the real egg has been stolen, so Das has the room locked down. However, before the room is sealed shut, international art thief Nolan Booth manages to escape, pursued by Hartley. Booth eventually escapes to his home in Bali with the egg, but finds Hartley waiting for him, along with Das and an Interpol strike team. They arrest Booth and take the egg into custody. Unbeknownst to anyone else, Booth's main competition, Sarah Black, also known as the Bishop, is disguised as one of the strike team members and swaps the real egg with another forgery in the back of the vehicle. The next day, Das confronts Hartley believing he's responsible for the egg's theft. As a result, she has him incarcerated in a remote Russian prison in the same cell as Booth. Shortly after arrival, they are brought to Black, where she proposes to Booth they work together to find the third egg, revealing to Hartley that he does in fact know of its whereabouts. Booth declines her modest offer, and she departs stating she'll find the second egg. When she does, she warns that his share will be less. Hartley suggests he and Booth work together to beat Black. If Booth helps him imprison Black, then Booth will take her place as the #1 art thief in the world. The pair escapes from prison and heads to Valencia to steal the second egg, in the possession of notorious arms dealer Sadovos, who is having a masquerade ball. There, they encounter Black, who also intends to steal it. The 3 arrive in Vos's vault, where Hartley and Booth fight Black, using a variety of melee weapons on display in the vault before she handcuffs them together. Vos arrives with his security detail and apprehends the men while Black reveals she and Vos are working together. They torture Hartley and, believing Booth has divulged the location of the third egg, Black double-crosses Vos and leaves for Egypt where Booth claims it is. After leaving Valencia, Booth reveals to Hartley that the egg is in fact in Argentina, a location only he knows as it was inscribed on his late father's beloved watch, which had once belonged to Adolf Hitler's personal art curator Rudolf Zeitsch. After the Third Reich fell in 1945, Zeitsch fled Europe for Argentina with the egg. The duo searches the jungles of Argentina, where they find a secret bunker. Inside are countless Nazi artifacts, among them the third egg. Black arrives to steal the egg from the duo at gunpoint, only to be interrupted by the arrival of Das and a team of local police. Hartley, Booth, and Black escape in an antique 1931 Mercedes, driving through an abandoned copper mine near the bunker, being chased by Das in an armored vehicle. Eventually, they exit near the top of a waterfall which they jump, landing in a lake at the bottom. Booth swims to shore with the egg, only to discover that Hartley and Black are actually romantic and professional partners, and Hartley was never FBI, but a command like his father, both going by the alias Bishop. Booth surrenders the egg, and they leave him handcuffed to a tree in the rainforest. In Cairo, Hartley and Black deliver the 3 eggs to an Egyptian billionaire buyer, in time for his daughter's wedding, mirroring Mark Antony's original gift to Cleopatra. The gesture is overshadowed when the bride is more excited by the wedding singer Ed Sheeran. The wedding is subsequently interrupted by Das' Interpol raid. 6 months later, on their yacht in Sardinia, Hartley and Black are met again by Booth, who informs them that he told Das about their Cayman Islands account, containing the $300 million payout from the Egyptian billionaire, which Das freezes, leaving them with no money. Booth also reveals that Interpol is on their way to capture them, but offers them a chance to escape if they help him with a new heist, which requires 3 individuals to pull off. They agree and escape, and Das places red notices on all 3 of them as they begin their heist at the Louvre in Paris. What happened at the end of Red Notice? Through a globe-trotting caper that takes them on one hell of a journey, FBI profiler John Hartley, Dwayne Johnson, and Nolan Booth, Ryan Reynolds, are forced to work together with their common foe. After trying to outsmart each other during this movie's treasure hunt, Hartley and Booth must team with Sarah Black, Gal Gadot, better known as the Bishop, in order to make it out of a secret cave in Argentina. Not only must the trio escape Urvashi Das, Ridu Arya, the Interpol agent that's been hot on their trail the whole time, but there's the problem of the only exit out of said cave being located behind a waterfall. Oh, and the huge drop underneath that opening. Our team makes it out alive, but that leads to Red Notice's final twist. And it's a doozy that could make it one of the best movies on Netflix. The last big twist in Red Notice. It's a funny story actually. At the beginning of Red Notice, John Hartley is pursuing Nolan Booth, but is ultimately framed by the Bishop as being dirty. Trying to help Urvashi Das capture both Hartley and Booth, Sarah Black sabotages the boys at every turn. Except that's not entirely the truth, as John and Sarah reveal to Nolan that they're actually a team. They're both the bishop, and John really has been a thief this whole time. Looking to cash in on the movie's big score, the two thieves play themselves as rivals, with Sarah Black even romancing an arms dealer named Sadovos, Chris Diamantopoulos, and electrocuting her lover's more sensitive regions in the process. But all's fair in love and heists, as the pair known as the Bishop were looking to make a huge score by collecting Cleopatra's 3 eggs and selling them to an Egyptian buyer who wanted them as a wedding present for his daughter. The tale of Cleopatra's 3 eggs. What could be a wedding present so valuable it'd eclipse a personal performance by Ed Sheeran? How about a fabled trio of eggs given to Cleopatra by Mark Antony as a sign of how much he loved her upon their marriage? $300 million is riding on the acquisition and delivery of Red Notice's huge MacGuffin. However, there's a huge catch that gums up the works. Oh, and the blushing bride totally ignores Cleopatra's eggs for Sheeran at the reception. Surprise, surprise. The location of only 2 of those eggs is known to the world, with the third supposedly vanishing to the sands of time, which is another one of this movie's lies, as one person does know where that third egg lies: the second best art thief and neglected son of a history buff obsessed with said treasure, Nolan Booth. Sounds like it's time for John Hartley and Sarah Black to play the Bishop game and trick Nolan into a double-crossing road trip to help out the cause. Egg 1. Museo Nazionale di Castel Sant'Angelo, Rome, Italy. Acquiring the first egg of Red Notice's complete caper seems easy enough. Nolan Booth builds a replica egg with a 3D printer, some shiny metals, and his boyish charm. Swapping the real egg for his own fake, he almost escapes John Hartley and Sarah Black in time to make it into the next episode of Antiques Roadshow. However, John shows up with his own SWAT team, and Sarah disguises herself as part of the team to steal the egg from Interpol custody. Cue John and Nolan's frozen prison escape, and someone literally trying to blow up Dwayne Johnson with a rocket launcher. The boys make it out in a helicopter and are ready to run off to the sunny side of Spain. Egg 2. Sadovos's Vault, Valencia, Spain. Our next stop on the road is Valencia, Spain, home of infamous arms dealer, strangulation enthusiast Sadovos. Stealing this second egg makes Red Notice's first act of thievery look like a shell game. Hidden in a vault that's protected by biometric access points that require facial, vocal, and thumbprint recognition. The first 2 are outsmarted by a clever deepfake app, while the third is faked out by a good old-fashioned mold that lifts thumbprints from glasses. If it wasn't for Sarah Black interfering with the lift, John Hartley and Nolan Booth could have been home free, narrowly escaping death by surprise bullfighting match. It's time for our lads to move on to the final piece of the puzzle. Egg 3. Secret Nazi Treasure Cave, Argentina. Red Notice sees Nolan Booth, Sarah Black, and Frank Hartley embarking on a very Indiana Jones-style adventure. During their stop in Valencia, Nolan lies to Sarah and says that the third egg lies in Cleopatra's tomb, which, if you're not looking too deep, sounds like an accurate story. However, as he later admits to Frank, the third egg is in a place where the audience did not see coming, tying into the real-life events that saw members of the Nazi Party fleeing to Argentina in the final days of World War II. Cleopatra's third egg is revealed to be part of a hidden cache of stolen artifacts from Adolf Hitler's collection. After a heartwarming reunion, in which Sarah admits she didn't buy Nolan's lies for a second, the 3 fight off some Interpol agents and escape with all 3 eggs. How Ryan Reynolds' Red Notice character fits into the mix. So why was Nolan Booth so important that he was worth being duped by 2 thieves, a worldwide goose chase, and a nearly $200 million budget? Well, his father had an obsession with Nazi treasure, valuing a watch he acquired so greatly that when he thought Nolan had taken it, he stopped talking to him for about a week. Acting as a key and a map that were instrumental to acquiring the final egg, Red Notice's entire story rested on the fate of this watch. Which is absolutely no excuse for Nolan's father being an absent and rather cruel parent. What's the next score for the Red Notice team? With Sarah and John getting paid for the delivery of Cleopatra's eggs, the pair double-crossed their buyer almost immediately. It's not their first betrayal, as they left Nolan handcuffed to a tree in Argentina before revealing their secret identities. Always the escape artist, Nolan catches up with the lovely couple, setting up the potential next score for the Red Notice team. The film ends with Nolan, John, and Sarah lined up, ready to take on the Louvre and steal something that we don't quite know about yet. Providing a cliffhanger ending to the movie that gave Netflix its most successful opening day ever was probably a smart move, as there's plenty of places to go from here. Though with future heists comes the possibility for further double crosses and even more shocking twists. If you haven't seen Red Notice and proceeded to spoil it for yourself, don't say we didn't warn you. However, do feel free to check out the movie, as it's streaming on Netflix and playing in limited theatrical release. If you're looking for your next score, check out 2021's new movie releases and see what's headed to a theater near you. Or take a look at the 2021 Netflix movie premiere dates and see what other streaming hits are on the horizon.